Hi everybody, Jason Smith here. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Truth About Social Ads. I'm an agency owner specializing in Facebook and Instagram ads, and I have dedicated my professional life to helping you learn what others won't tell you about Facebook ads. You know, I believe there's so much information that no one is sharing about Facebook ads and how you can fail and win running ads for your business and when it's time to hire an agency. That's why I'm here bringing ideas and information that can help you run successful Facebook and Instagram ads. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of The Truth About Social Ads. Man, this is going to be a monster of an episode today. We've got two awesome dudes on the podcast today. We're going to be talking about Go HighLevel with two of the most high-level guys that I know, and super excited for it. Sean and Chase, how you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Doing great. I was going to say, thanks for having us. It's great to see you again.
Yeah. You guys have been on the podcast before. We appreciate you being on the second time. There's been a lot of changes to Go HighLevel since our last episode. A lot of cool things. As you guys know, I'm a big e-commerce guy. When I saw the whole Shopify stuff come out, I almost had a heart attack. I was like, dude, this is going to be sick. So I definitely want to dive into that today. But really, the episode today is going to be about all the changes to Go HighLevel, what you guys are doing. I know you got some cool stuff also in the pipeline as well. So yeah, can't wait to dive in and chat about it all. So, and
let's do it.
Having both of you guys on, we appreciate it. We know you guys are busy, so thanks for both being on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
our pleasure.
Awesome. So Eric, do you kind of want to cue some things up here, and we'll dive right in?
So let's cue it up. So Sean and Chase, thanks for being on, like Jason said. And we really want to talk about e-commerce and the Shopify integration. And then also a couple other questions, just SMS and text blasting. So, sure, and then the last part, just so you have it in mind as we go through the episode, is any other features that you guys want to highlight. You know, we see the weekly roundup and everything, but anything that you guys feel is noteworthy and want to promote to our listeners. So let's start with the Shopify integration. I really want to hear it from you guys. And also, I guess the main question is, how are you seeing people use it? Because you guys have that view where you see how all the agencies and business owners are using it. Fill us in and first run through the basics of it and then how people are using it.
Yeah, Chase, you want to do that one?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we're very early in the journey, right? But the connection has been made. And so it's game on from here, right? And I think the first thing to talk about is the mentality behind it, right? So I think the most exciting thing, and yes, we're going to add 1 million Shopify features and do all this crazy stuff, but it's the mindset behind it, right? It's the same with HighLevel. We want to empower agencies because we believe that individual shop owners probably don't know what they're doing or what tools they need to succeed in the world of e-com, right? But we know that folks like you guys do. And so we want to take some of that money that's going to the big names in the space right now and funnel it to the agencies and enable them to become, the Klaviyo's, the whatever of the space. And so that's what we're most excited about, is to see agencies go out there and sell their own software, HighLevel, right? Their own white label to their clients in the space. And so right off the bat, it's the big ones, Sean, right? We got cart abandonment, stuff like that.
Like the new order emails. We just sort of started. So the way we always do this, right, is we're big MVP folks. So it's kind of like, okay, listen, we know, this is how we think about it. Not only are we here to help empower agencies, but we're also here to learn from agencies because agencies are our customer. So we're like, all right, cool. What is the most basic thing we can do? So we go out, we figure that out, we put it out, and then we just wait. And instead of sort of sitting there pontificating like, oh, well, we know better. Let us show you what to do, right? We sort of take a step back and say, all right, now we're ready for that feedback. What are the things you want us to work on in what order? And that's exactly how we attack them, right? So with Shopify right now, you can do all kinds of cool stuff, right? You can do the cart abandonment stuff. You can do the thank you order for the email. You can then start to do things like look at the last time people purchased, and then based on it's been call it whatever, a month, and you haven't had another purchase, 3 months, 6 months, automatically try to re-engage them. There's all kinds of stuff you can do there. But I think with what tagging on to what Chase said, it's also about saying, okay, first and foremost, everyone, let's get on the same page here. We're trying to take tools that are available today that are sold direct to shop owners, essentially Shopify customers, and we're trying to move those underneath a white label platform that's agency only, because we just don't have a lot of respect for the direct to consumer, as it were, model in this case, or direct to SMB model, because we think what's missing there is it doesn't matter how great the tool is. If there's not a professional behind the tool, ultimately the outcome is going to be poor. And then the thing we see constantly is, as an agency, you go out and you take someone else's tool and you work the heck out of that thing to make it just magical for your customer. And then the customer does this terribly horrible thing to you. They look at it and say, oh, I knew it. It was the software the whole time. And then they end up canning your services and staying with the software, when the whole time, they're missing this, seeing all the amazing things you're doing for them. And so for us, it's about focusing first on empowering the agency and then adding the features that matter. Because the other thing we know is all of these software products have a gajillion and one features that, quite honestly, may or may not be all that useful to the average shop owner.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the average shop owner too, just kind of like small businesses in the world, like small businesses make the business world function, right? Like there's Absolutely. 80% are small businesses, and then you have the Microsofts, the Targets, like all these huge brands, but they're not making up the bulk of the industry, right?
Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly, right. Oh, and we got a taste of that.
You wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah, and we worked with Microsoft for about 6 months, and let me tell you, like, I was just like, we fired them. We're like, okay, we're done with you guys. Like, so much red tape, so much stuff. They wouldn't let us do what we wanted to do. Like, oh, let me run it by the attorney. I'm like, why? It's just an ad campaign, Like, it's crazy. So, yeah, so we appreciate you guys being kind of on the agency side. Not everybody's agencies, but I also think you don't have to be an agency also to use Go HighLevel. There's so many great functionalities to Go HighLevel as well. We love the Shopify integration that has surfaced now, and we're going to be using it like crazy because we love e-commerce, and that's kind of the bulk of our business for our clients. And kind of like you guys, we're also in the same mindset of what can we do to make our clients better. We are in a really high-level mastermind for Shopify, the Shopify side of things. We don't need to do that as an agency. We run traffic, but we know there's a value, just like you guys have a value in what you're doing for agencies, and it all rolls back to the client anyways, right?
Totally.
Like if we didn't have clients, we wouldn't be here today. So yeah, we appreciate you guys taking the time, and not only that, but just listening to us as agency owners. I can't go to Shopify and say, hey guys, I need this, and they probably won't listen. You guys are like, I could email Chase and be like, hey dude, I need to, what about this? And I get an email back from him in 30 minutes. Like, that's crazy. And you guys are on our podcast,
so fun. Like Sean mentioned, what's so fun for us is to get the feedback. Like, once we get the MVP off the ground, then it gets really fun, because, like, for example, the order confirmation email template that you can now use in HighLevel's email builder. I was like, this is just standard, right? We have to do this. This is like step 0 or whatever. The first Shopify agency I got on with, they were like blown away. And I was like, why is this so exciting? Like, Shopify does default confirmation emails. And they're like, no. It's so hard to customize them. If I can just use the HighLevel email builder to build promotional material like above or below the confirmation stuff, that's massive. And I was like, oh, wow, that is really cool. Like, okay, yeah. Like,
well, and not only that,
we're going to start teaching people to do that.
But the cool thing about it too is now people they're using the HighLevel email stuff right now. What I'll be able to do, instead of having to use Attentive or these other SMS things, I could just use HighLevel now to start texting people, right? Like, hello, why wouldn't I want to do that and start bringing everybody into HighLevel using the HighLevel connection here? And then there's 5 other things on the back end of HighLevel that I can use to make it even better. SMS, and just even communication. I mean, I don't have to have an extra cell phone to like text these clients, I can just go into HighLevel and text them right there. Like, you know what I mean? And that's a big deal for people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll keep
And then
building
the
out.
reporting is awesome.
Absolutely. And so we'll keep building out the Shopify integration throughout the year, exactly the way we do with everything else. So every feature that'll come out will really be in response to what we get asked to do and in the order we get asked to do it. Because again, we just know that marketers will help drive us in the correct direction as far as the feature set goes. And so that, you know, you'll just continue to see kind of drops throughout all of this year and into next. And so I think it'll be pretty exciting. And eventually, you know, I think in the soon time period, we'll probably be on par with pretty much any of the other tools out there that you could point to that you're probably already using. But the big thing that's great about HighLevel, right, is not only is it white label for the agency, but also you can resell it and all of a sudden you can turn yourself into a SaaS company, just like many of the companies you're probably paying money to and or recommending customers to right now. You can bring all that revenue in-house.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's actually that's something that we don't even do right now, just because, you know, we're so inundated with our scope of work and what we're doing. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's 5 different facets to go HighLevel that I don't think a lot of people know about. So on that topic, you guys kind of explain how an agency like us could turn it into a possible SaaS product and start charging our clients for the services that are in HighLevel.
Sure.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. So there's a story to be told, right? And we know the story because we've worked with tens of thousands of you guys by now, right? And most of us come from the world as well.
Yeah.
And so pretty much no matter who we're talking to, whether it's a plumber or an e-com shop, it's capture, nurture, close, right off the bat.
Yes.
So we need to be generating leads. We need to nurture those leads into their first purchase and then do a bunch of cool stuff after that. But that's really kind of step one. And that's what we're thinking about when we build sort of the MVP stage 1 of the integration. And what's cool is because HighLevel already does so much of it, we didn't really have to do much more than make the connection for you to be able to go run that playbook, right? So you put the chat widget on the e-com site and now you're capturing leads, right? So the pop-up can say like, hey, text whatever to claim your first purchase discount code of 10% off.
10% off, right. Yeah. Yep.
So now you're automating text messages to people to make sure that they use that code to make their first purchase, right? So we've captured, we've nurtured, we've closed, and then we kind of get crazy from there. But all of that you now can deliver, right? So if you go look at the current market, they kind of have to have a couple of apps running to do that playbook.
Oh, yes.
And each one of those has a recurring cost.
Yeah.
So if you as an agency can now go deliver that same value under your own brand, well, now you're a software company, right? They're going to pay you those monthly costs. And what we've really learned is SMBs, shop owners, they could care less about what the tool is, right? They just want the result. So it doesn't matter to them if they're paying you for the tool's value or if they're paying some other tool for the value, as long as they're getting the value.
Yeah. But what I'll say there, though, is the cool thing about that is whether agencies want to admit it or not, it makes the agency, if you can offer more things like that, it's harder for them to leave you, right? Now, of course, we all want to get results, but there's going to be good months and bad months. And some clients just don't want to ride out the bad months. And if they're like, hey, it'll be so hard for us to leave Spotlight because they've got us connected to so many things, and then we'll have to bring somebody else in and they're going to want, you know, so it does make you more sticky with a client and it's really hard for them to leave. And that's another reason why we love Go HighLevel, because it just, the more features you guys add, the more sticky we become with the client, right?
Exactly.
And I don't know if anybody's talking about that. I don't know if anybody's mentioned that.
It's certainly the way we think about it, and we sure hope so. Yeah. And, you know, again, like I'll even take it one step further. I see many situations where agencies are getting phenomenal outcomes and results for the client, but there's just a psychological barrier in that client's mind where they just cannot imagine paying that much money to any human being for anything. It'd almost be like if you said, listen, you know, you write me a $3,000 check, I'm going to hand you back $6,000 in cash. They'd be like, nope, sorry. And you're like, I don't get it. I'm literally giving you twice the money. They're like, nope, I just can't see how this ever works. And so as a result, I see lots of situations where agencies get fired for no good reason at all. But what we've noticed is when you're selling the software and the technology piece, which is fundamentally lower priced, and you're separating it from your services, you may lose the service for good or bad reasons, but you almost never lose the software. And that's actually why software companies are able to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. It's because they have this really low churn rate relative to the value they provide, right? And I think it's almost exclusively a price point issue. I think it has very little to do, I may be alone in my crazy thought, but I think it has very little to do with reality and actual results. I think it has way more to do with psychology and small business owners' inability to live in a world where they pay a large amount of money to a person to do anything on any given month.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it kind of goes back to the old adage. It's like, a guy goes in to fix a copy machine and he's a young dude, doesn't have a ton of experience. It takes him 10 hours and they're going to pay $1,000. But an experienced guy goes in, kind of like us with Facebook ads, and we come in, it takes us an hour to do what that other kid did in 10 hours. Well, why would I pay you $1,000 to do that in an hour? Well, because we're really good at it and we can do a lot more of that, right? So, and that's the same thing with us. We're not cheap, but we can come in and deliver a service that most agencies can't. And it's because we have a software like Go HighLevel to offer. And it's because we've got everything happening in one place. Like, you go to other platforms and you got to have, send in blue attached. And then you got to have this and you got to have that. And then next thing you know, you're paying $4,000 for 20 things to function. And half the month it's breaking anyways. Right.
You got Zapier in the middle and you're trying to trace it all down. And it's just a nightmare, right?
Yeah. So if there's one message that I can get across, if you're not using Go HighLevel, and again, like we're not getting paid to to do any of this, but because we love the platform, it's a one-stop shop. And I remember a few years ago when we started using it, Eric especially was like freaking out about with all the things, like we're building a course right now in Go HighLevel, right? Like we don't have to go to Kajabi or another software to do that, like Eric's building a course out in Go HighLevel for how to run high quality Facebook ads. And the other thing I want to touch on really quick, Sean, what you mentioned is, I think the other problem with this whole people not wanting to pay, it's a psychological thing, is because you have all these gurus online also saying, hey, I can teach you how to do this for $99,
Right.
Like, dude, come on, like stop blowing smoke up people's skirts, and all they want to do is kind of make money. And that's one thing that I love about you guys is you actually listen to us, make it happen, and it's not a bunch of smoke and mirrors.
Well, we certainly try. And speaking of features, this may just be me, and I'm often excited about new features all the time. That's my bent in life. But we're also coming out with social media posting, which I'm pretty excited about. Not necessarily. I mean, I think there are definitely agencies that specialize in it and offer it as a service, and we're certainly excited to help people support that. But I also think it's one of those things where if you're a small business owner, you go Google like how to market my business online, right? Social media posting is just this tool that is shoved down everybody's throat. And I love the idea that we now can provide that as part of the stack to the agency. So it's yet another avenue for the agency to say, oh, well, let us replace, maybe we don't do this as a service, but hey, why don't you just stop paying, whoever it is that you're working with right now, what other piece of software, and bring it in-house. And again, it bakes in like everything else. So it's all connected. You can see all of the history on the contacts and all of that good stuff, but it's yet another tool that agencies don't have to either go recommend or buy themselves.
Yeah, because there are actually organic agencies that all they do is post organic social for clients. Like I know a personal friend of mine who owns one of those agencies, and I'm like, dude, like, I always kind of make fun of him. I'm like, all you do is post all day, whatever. But Go High, I mean, come on, man, having a tool to be able to.
Well, and now that friend can keep doing what he's doing, but he can also then turn around and create a revenue stream, because I guarantee he has to use some other person's product to do it. Now he can have his clients buy his product every month and start creating a recurring software revenue stream in addition to the posting that he's doing.
Yeah, I think what we should do in the show notes here is like make a list of all the additional products you'd have to buy if you weren't using HighLevel. That they would be like a list of 50 things. That'd be funny.
It's a great way to sell it, right? It makes the sale so easy. You look at a Shopify store or whatever, they're going to have like MailChimp for emailing. They're going to have some text message app. They're going to have this and that. And each one has a value. So you just add them up and you're like, look, you're spending $750 a month on software. Our platform can do all of this and more for $4.99 a month.
Yeah.
Let's get you switched over. And then, like you said, you've got the membership builder, right? So you can build this. I love this model. You build instructional material and you house it in a membership. and you're like, oh, you're the DIYer, you can do this yourself. That's awesome. We've got all the instructions you need. You've got the tools to send your monthly email, to send your text blast, to do all these things. And if you ever find that like you're not getting it done, well, we could do it for you. And that service is an additional whatever per month. And it's just like, you know how many people have MailChimp and never send an email?
Oh, actually, I think I just got charged $10 from MailChimp the other day. I was like, wait, what the hell? What's going on here? Yeah, I just got the email and I'm like, I got to cancel this crap right now, So yeah, totally. I and it's funny how things work like that. And you're right. Like, I mean, we even have all our new people we hire. Eric sends them to somewhere and Go High Level to like watch all the training videos. I mean, hello, for our agency, this is a one-stop shop that we can house everything. SOPs are housed in there. You know what I mean? Like all this cool stuff. And now I think you guys are just, you keep upping the ante, which is pretty awesome. So we appreciate that. Eric, do you want to add anything or talk about anything?
I want to kind of go a different direction for a second here. And this is uncharted territory, but I'm gonna ask right now. So have you guys ever connected with northbeam.io? Do you know who they are?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about this live. This will be an interesting conversation. So with us, because we're
he's Googling it right now. Sean is Googling it. I can see him and Chase,
So just so you guys know, this is kind of what has helped us conquer, because we're our agency is so heavily e-commerce. Their co-founders, one of them was top of his class at Stanford machine learning. So they've created a third-party tracking platform where we can still track, view through data. So we can look back at the customer journey for e-commerce. They won't do leads. And I'm like, you guys, this is before you guys rolled out Shopify, right? And I was like, you guys, reach out to Go High Level. Please do an integration. So just so you guys know, that's been with e-commerce kind of the thing we've conquered iOS. Like we have view through data. We can see what's from Google and what's from Facebook. Have you guys heard of any service? And I know I'm asking this and you might say we do it, but have you seen any services as far as leads go that successfully can currently track? Like, let's say I'm running, ads for a client and then a Google agency is running that can still track through High Level and have that view through data.
Boy, do we have good news for you.
I knew this is what you're going to say.
Set us up for failure on that one.
We're actually we're trying to do a better job of educating people that this happens already, right? So Sean can talk to you about how it technically happens, but if you're running traffic to a high level asset like a form or a high level page, we're snatching any UTM parameters that are there. And so what's amazing about high level, right, is we have pipelines built in. So because you're using the pipeline and you're teaching your clients how to enter like the amount that was purchased at the end, we can do what most platforms can't, which is we go back to the ad campaign and we will do the calculations and tell you your cost per lead, your cost per booking, because in traditional marketing, there's usually a booking involved, right? And then your cost per sale, which is usually the missing piece of data, all tied back to the ad campaign, whether it's Facebook or Google.
Okay. So you would do that. And so through Go High Level, you would do that in pipelines.
Well, I mean, we do that. Yeah. So what we do right now is we would do that through opportunities. Because the thing that people often, when you're just getting started, there's this whole simple idea. And ecom, thankfully, actually, you learn this very quickly. Like you don't want one customer to buy one time, right?
Yep.
There's not a one-to-one correlation between a sale and a person. You want lots of repeat business. But in most traditional marketing, like, I don't get it. That I sold the guy on the to come into the dentist one time, like, boom, that's it. And you're like, no. You need something, we call them opportunities, but you can think of them as like sales. Where you're representing each individual transaction, essentially. And you need to know attribution down to that transaction level, right? And you need to know what happened to it, what the value of it was, in order to actually then drive the attribution back into the ad. Because ultimately, all that matters at the end of the day really is revenue relative to cost on the ad. And you can put a load factor in for things like salespeople or those sorts of things. But you need to know by channel and even by ad and by campaign what your real ROI is, right? And you won't know that if you don't know the value of we call it an opportunity, but the value of the sale. And so we do all of that as automatically as possible.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So we could set that up if we want to have clients use High Level and it'll calculate back to the UTM, and then that'll help us calculate essentially the cost per lead.
Correct. Yeah, we call that attribution reporting.
most people fall down is they're not building their links right when they make the ad. As long as your ad link has the parameters, we're going to grab them and see it in reporting.
Yeah. So that's actually our biggest stopping block is, we have marketers running Google ads, for example, and what they don't seem to know is that the GCL ID is the Google ID, which Google keeps for itself, knows what it means, and does not share that with anyone, right? And so the only way to know what ad that click came from is you need to pass UTM parameters in, which has sort of been the standard for 20 years or something. But for some reason, it's just not common for most marketers to do it. So we'll obviously, our attribution algorithm will know it's coming from a Google ad, but it's a lot cooler to know exactly which ad. And the nice thing, it's not that hard. You can set up a script at the ad account level that'll automatically apply it to every ad as the click goes out. So it's not really that difficult to set up, and then you'll be able to track things consistently.
Okay, and then are you guys actually telling people how to set up those UTM parameters then?
We try. We have lots of good help articles.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Yeah, because and what a lot of people don't know too is how to do a naming convention in a way so it doesn't break the UTM as well on Facebook ads, right? Like, so that's a huge deal. And the guy, nothing's getting tracked. Well, dude, your UTM parameter is broken. Well, how do I know that? Because you have like 10 spaces in between one word, everything's got to be connected, So,
it's interesting because if you look at like your North Beam guys, I mean, I think what's the hardest thing for most of these folks isn't the smarts, right? It's the fact, it's the customer. I always like to say the worst thing about software is users. And it's the fact that when you bake all this technology up, and you go to the customer, you're like, okay, this can do this amazing thing. It's like they're like, but I don't have the sophistication to match up with it. That's why when I see most of these companies go ultimately is enterprise, because there's somebody in the marketing department who sits around all day long, and if they need to watch 40 hours of webinars, they have their employer will pay them to do that. Versus, the smaller you get, you're like, I don't have that kind of time. Are you nuts?
Yeah.
And so you tend to lose a lot of the impact of these pieces of software because they just don't have the sophistication on the user side, and it's almost impossible to automate all of that.
Yeah, or they just go, nope, we're only doing e-commerce, or nope, we're only doing this, right? They can't do kind of a full service.
Yeah, because they got to go thin line, because then they're like, okay, if I'm going to go to this really sort of small business or small agency or small individual person kind of setups everywhere, I need to have the absolute simplest setup. Otherwise, things are going to get lost in the mix.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what besides the Shopify integration,
and besides social media posting, yes.
Yeah, besides social media posting, what is one other feature that you guys are either that's underused right now by users or that's coming out that you guys are the most excited about?
I got one, but I want to hear what Chase's is first.
Cool.
I love to go back to the most underused feature, which is in our mobile app. Right. So you've got a chat widget on somebody's Shopify site, and now you're able to text people. You can click and record a video that immediately goes through the text.
No
right.
way.
So imagine a store. Imagine if you signed up for something on a store, and all of a sudden the shop owner texts you a quick video, and it's like, hey Chase, thanks so much for claiming the first drop promo or whatever. You're gonna love what you're gonna get. If you ever need any help, just feel free to shoot me a text. The power of that, and it's so underusualized. It's right there in the app.
Dang, yeah, that is awesome. A personalized
that's so much cooler than mine.
Yeah, but you're a tech guy.
I was going to break from the show. You guys are ecom, right? But I was going to throw out the WordPress integration or the WordPress hosting, feature, because again, we want to serve every agency, no matter who they are, what they do, including your crazy friend who you tease to know and about his social. The fact that he just posts on Facebook for a living. But, because we want a scenario where any agency who walks through the door, any marketers walking through the door has all the tools in one spot. And I think even boring things like WordPress hosting, it's a situation where it's like corn, right? Like Farmer John's corn and Farmer Bill's corn. It's just corn. But at some point, having it all in one spot creates a tremendous amount of value, because it's just one less thing you got to go out to and get from some other place and try to fuse together or cobble together or deal with. And then the other big thing is all the billing components that we've put around all of this stuff, because sure, it's cool to have all of these services, but what use are they if you can't build them, right? So in all of these things that we lay out, we make it easy for the agency to then actually upcharge and bill their customers for all of these items, which for me is critical because our mission is super simple. We want to create a revenue stream around the agency. I always tell agencies who talk to me, I say, look, they're like, well, how much does it cost? And I always say, well, if you're paying us $1 more than we're making you, like you are doing something horrifically wrong, right? Like there's a mistake in what you're doing. We should be literally the kind of thing where you spend X, you turn around tomorrow and make 10X, and if not, you're doing it wrong, right? And so for me, that's why even boring stuff like WordPress hosting gets me excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
and talk about the SMS and regulation and laws. I mean,
sure. Be careful. Okay, serious business. Don't mess around.
Yeah.
So what is like if some people move to HighLevel, they go from ClickFunnels, right? We had a lot of clients on ClickFunnels. They upload their list and then they go to Text Blast. Talk to us about like a reference or a resource.
Yeah. So I have a lot of experience in this. I've been involved in 2 TCPA lawsuits myself, and involved meaning I didn't do anything I just happened to be there at the time. I was witness to them. And I think there's a lot of misunderstandings to this. So first and foremost, there are entire law firms that all they do is troll the interwebs looking for these violations in order to try to jump in and create a case. And in fact, if they think there's a violation in progress and it's worth enough money, they will hire someone to go out and create the violation to create the plaintiff for the case, right? And these folks are not at all interested in right and wrong. It is a business. So it is a simple business calculation. They will file a lawsuit. They're lawyers, so they have very little cost on the deal. And they are not interested in whether or not you are right or wrong. They're just interested in how much is it going to cost you to actually take it all the way through to close on the court versus how much can they get out of you. So, and I've been through these things, and the lawyers on the other end always say the same thing. It's like, do you have $200,000? And you're like, no. And they're like, great. So spend the 50 grand, pay that law firm to go away. And that's how it works. And it's horrifying, but I got to tell you, it's reality too. So I always like to bring out the bad news because I think people should really take it seriously. And
what are the common mistakes that marketers are making that are involved in these violations? Permission.
So step number one is, hey, how did you get these phone numbers, right? If your client can't give you a good answer on that, you might not want to blast that list. And I think you want to, moving forward, make sure that you have a plan in place where you're getting consent as you get the leads, right?
Yeah.
And I like to teach people, look, marketing for me at the very core is build a database and activate it.
Right.
House a database of people in HighLevel and then get in front of them at least once a month.
Right.
And so, every website you go to, it's like pop up, like join our list. And you're like, definitely not closing that.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity to actually make something cool. Hey, our friends and family list gets one unique promotion every month that only people on the list get. Like, do you want to join? Yes. Okay. You have to give us permission to text you if you want to be a part of the list. Like, I give you permission, do it right, but make it so that people actually look forward to getting the text. Right. And it's very easy to create that scenario. And now every month you have a database full of people who want to be activated into customers. Yeah. And so, once you get to that place, you're doing it properly. Your client's making money every time you hit send. You've created this beautiful system of software and services, and you're in a great spot.
Yeah. And I would say two things to that to give you a little more information, Eric, is one, as an agency, if you're serving clients, make sure your agreement specifically states that any and all lists that you're given are TCPA compliant. And you don't have to really go much beyond that, because at the end of the day, worst case scenario, a lawsuit gets filed. You want to just say, not my deal. Like that list was given to me by my client. I'm just acting on their behalf. And that's their liability. And you could pass that back to them. Right. As a marketer in general, it is about getting permission. And like Jay said, you want to make those things positive. The other big thing to think about on the texting side is there's a big regulation that just came down called A2P 10DLC. Super sexy, exciting name. But basically, think about it like this. you know how like now if you send an email to Gmail and people always this is my worst question ever is like, how do I get my emails in the inbox, right? You're like, oh well, let me hit the magic get in the inbox button for you there, buddy, right? Like, but the reality is Gmail and Outlook and all these folks, they don't tell you what the spam algorithm is. But this new regulation on texting is all the major SMS carriers, all the cell carriers created a third-party registry where they're now tracking businesses and individuals by something they cannot escape, like an EIN or an SSN. And the reason why is because as a marketer or as a business, if you start sending out texts, and a lot of times people would do a blast, the number would get spammed out, they'd rotate the number. You can't do that anymore. Now your reputation will follow you. You get a grade from this third party. So it doesn't matter what carrier you go with, doesn't matter what service you use, what number you're using. Anybody who is sending non-individual texts, they call it A2P, application to person. All of that reputation is tracked down to your company. So now it's about really focusing on creating high quality content that's engaged. Otherwise, you're going to get decimated.
Wow.
Okay.
Crazy.
And to ask a question there. So, and remember, guys, I haven't dove into the Shopify integration as deep as I will, which I am currently diving into. So if we're running someone's Shopify store or their traffic and we integrate Go HighLevel and they have a list, let's say they have it currently in Klaviyo, we import that list into Go HighLevel. How do you recommend going about that?
So first have your clients sign off, like Sean said, that this is TCPA compliant, right? You need to make your client verify that to you first, right? And then go ahead, Sean, what were we going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, and it's really easy to import. It's literally just export the CSV.
Oh no, that part I got down. It's the more like text,
the legal
there,
side
if we
of
want to
things.
text blast
I mean, again, it's always going to be difficult, right? So as marketers, I think we go to our clients on the legal side with the contract and the agreement, and that should be with any client we ever engage. But also, I think we just kind of go to them and say, hey, this list is awesome. Are you sure it's good? Because we want to do an awesome job for you and we really want to kick ass. But if you're not really, really sure, we need to kind of find another way to either warm this list up, right? Or kind of, maybe it's legal even. Maybe you got them, maybe they got really good consent. But then the next question is, they consented, but how much engagement have they gotten here? And, how well are they going to respond to this blast? And if you don't ever know, I think the easiest thing is to test, right? So it's like, hey, listen, I feel good on the legal side, but I don't know about the engagement side. Great. Let's send this out to 50 people, see what happens, right? Worst case scenario, we can stop, rework it, or we can say, oh, that worked great. Boom, let's blast the whole list. But I would start small and incrementally walk your way up.
Okay, cool.
Got it.
Yeah, I like the idea of, if there's some doubt in there, especially, I would start with an email campaign saying, hey, we're rolling out this new friends and family program. We've got this phone number on file. Like, is that still a good number? Yeah. Do you want to be part of this new plan? Like, get the consent yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
And just go fresh from there, because then you're cleared and there's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be different, right? I think it's also about, like, if you looked at their current existing setup, how much conversation are people having? Because messaging is absolutely the future of talking to customers. I mean, SMS is going to be the bedrock of all communication that is at all anything other than completely passive, like I'll get to it later kind of stuff, right? And so I think the goal here, though, is how well have they already adopted that versus how are you bringing them into that adoption? Because if you're bringing them into that adoption, then I would be more apt to say, all right, well, how do we, like Jay said, how do we warm this up over a different channel? And then on what I would say is also on the inbound side, or as you bring in new people, make sure you're hitting them very quickly early on in the relationship with the SMS, just to teach them, hey, we're the type of folks that are going to be messaging you. And, this is a channel we're going to use. So that way, as you move forward, you're going to keep that list very engaged.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I don't think most of us as agencies think about this legal side of it, which what you just explained about, being tracked and all that stuff, we're going to have to start thinking about this stuff. If not.
Well, and the vast majority of people could do really stupid things all day long and never suffer any legal consequences. Right. But it's this idea that there's a central spam registry now that will track you wherever you go. And it's funny, I think Congress, both sides of the aisle in Congress can agree on very few things, but this is just one thing where I think they're both rock solid. Do you want more robocalls? Like no one's saying yes to that. Do you want more, spam texts, from people you don't know? No, no one, so there's going to be a lot support, I think, societally across the board to make sure this happens. But the good news, here's what I think is fantastic about it. If you think about it, if you do this right, if you're a quality marketer, what that means is you no longer have to compete with all the idiots before that were just blasting out, rotating numbers, blasting out again. Those people are going to be one and done, and they're never coming back.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what we're noticing right now with Facebook ads in general. It's like we're getting clients coming to us saying, well, it looks like the agency that I worked with rode the COVID wave and now they can't really function anymore because they don't really know what they're doing. And you're right. Like, it's all about, finding the great marketers and being a good marketer yourself and knowing what's going on at a super high level, Sorry, Chase, were you going to say something?
I was going to say it's super exciting for e-com marketers because, again, it's so easy to get people excited to be a part of a list, right? Like, imagine if you're a shop and you tell people, hey, for the people on our VIP text list, once a month, we blow a product out. We pick one product. It goes on sale for like 40%, first come, first serve. And the only way you're going to know is through a text message. Like, people will line up to be on that text list and it will deliver. Your clients will be blown away by how well it works, Yeah. So I think e-com shops have an advantage in that regard over like a plumber, right? Do you really want to be on your plumber's like text list?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a great industry for SMS marketing and what you're going to be able to do with what you could do right now with Shopify and HighLevel.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And we're going to start looking into more of the texting part for a lot of our e-commerce because we're even seeing humongous numbers, through like Attentive and other places, that, I mean, we have a client in the last 6 months that has done about $1 million in extra revenue because of text messaging done right, right? Like super high quality, done right. The message is super on, that people want to be a part of the list and people are buying like crazy off a text message. So so it's going to be awesome. So
and we're really, really excited to see that Shopify integration. So we're rolling it out. We're pumped on it. And and you guys might be getting a call from Northbeam. I told them, I'm like, you guys.
I hope so. And by the way, we're huge on integration. So we're a big fan of integrating with anybody. And what we find is, you're always going to get the best ideas together and you're going to get amazing outcomes. And there are going to always be things that we won't do because it's only going to be, 1% of marketing agencies could use it anyways, right? Or 1% of customers. And so we'd much rather have somebody else do that because then they can go really deep where they're experts.
Yeah. Now, what about integrating you guys? And this is what we need to wrap up here because we've already been about 42 minutes in. I don't want to take up your whole day here. Last thing probably, and then we can kind of close it up. What about integrating with like Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, those platforms? Like
on the list.
Down the road, are we going to be able to post on TikTok through HighLevel?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to cover. So we'll cover the non-video stuff first, and then we'll move into the video stuff next. I've seen some other platforms and how they do it, though. So I've got a fairly keen idea on how. We'll start basic. Probably there even it's like, hey, upload your own video now schedule the post kind of thing. But I've also seen platforms that let you actually kind of create the videos or modify the videos, and I think that's with some good templates. So we absolutely will allow that.
Awesome. Sweet. Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. Anything else you want to cover or make known to agency owners, business owners that you think is super important? Chase.
I would say if you're an agency owner, especially if you're working in e-com and you're kind of like, what the heck are these guys talking about? Jason said Attentive, right? If you're putting your clients on Attentive or Klaviyo, think about what's being paid to Attentive or Klaviyo. And now imagine if that money was going to you instead. And that's what we're talking about, right? Like use Klaviyo, you do a good job as a marketer, that bill goes up pretty quickly, right?
Sure does. And Klaviyo's expensive, dude. Like expensive.
The other piece that we didn't talk about is when you use one of those services, there's a cost per text message that goes out, right?
Yep.
And that cost already has a margin on it that goes to Klaviyo or goes to whoever, Attentive.
Right.
With HighLevel, that margin now goes to you. So you're not just making like your monthly fee, whatever you're charging, you're making micro revenue as well every time a text is sent. So like you literally are the software company now. And that all adds up really quickly. And so not only can you win on pricing on your plan price, you're also, the more success you have, the more messages that are getting sent, the more money you're making in that regard as well.
All right, Eric, we got to jump on that bandwagon because I'm just doing the math in my head right now. And just with one client that did $1 million in text messaging, like that, we need to do that in HighLevel. So
that's why I'm asking, guys. This is awesome. So,
right.
Yeah.
If you really want to see some excitement, just go Google name of company space, valuation, and you'll see the number of the billions of dollars they're valued at. And while you may not get to the billions, trust me, you don't need to have billions to be happy in life. You can do quite well. And you have to remember, and this is something I believe in my core, and I think this is actually an unspoken truth that most people don't quite realize. The vast majority of these marketing-focused platforms, I think they get an insane amount of customers from you folks.
Oh, totally.
And I don't think and the other thing is, I don't even think they know it. Because they don't see it, right? Somebody shows up at their door and they think, oh, well, that webinar or that content piece or that whatever nonsense that we did brought that person in. It's like, no. What happened was the agency already knew about you and said, listen, you need to go sign up with this person. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that form of lead generation away from those other platforms and keep the money in the agency so that the agency can continue to be successful.
Yeah, super smart. See, this is why we love HighLevel right here. So, well, awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Where can people go to kind of get a brief overview of how HighLevel functions or additional functionality, anything like that with Go HighLevel?
Well, you tell us, are you an active affiliate? Because if so, they should be heading over to your link.
We are an active affiliate, God damn it.
You should be. Make sure you post your link.
I would say the YouTube channel is a good spot, right?
Yeah, I love the YouTube channel because absolutely, you get a chance to see things in action. You get to also see a lot of other marketers who are out there talking about how they do what they do. So I think it's a pretty exceptional channel.
Cool. Yeah, and I love getting emails from HighLevel. Hey, somebody signed up. I'm like, sick, awesome, So, all right, guys. Well, thanks again for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We know you guys are busy. You guys are blowing up, and soon, just remember us when you're too important to be on our podcast in the next year or two.
Never.
But we appreciate it, guys, and we love the platform, and we love what you're doing for agencies, and thank you for that because there's not many brands. Well, there's really no other brand that's doing what you guys are doing.
There's not.
Kudos to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, and hopefully we can come back in Q1 and tell you about what's new then.
Let's do it. We'll
totally. Let's make this a reoccurring podcast.
I like it. We'll come back every quarter if you'll have us.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah. And vice versa. If you guys ever need anything, not that you do, but if you ever need anything on the Facebook side, we're always here to help no matter what it is.
We'll call you. We know who to call for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much.
Gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Bye.
Jay,
guys.
Happy holidays. Take care.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to The Truth About Social Ads. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at truthaboutsocialads.com for show notes and additional episodes. And if you have time, please subscribe to the podcast and please consider rating and reviewing the show if you enjoyed it. That will help other people find us. By the way, I would love to hear from you. Please send me an email at jason@spotlightsocialllc.com with your feedback, questions, or a topic you'd like me to talk about on the show. If you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show. See you later. Bye.